up, sneaker gears? My name is Levi. Welcome to another performance gear comparison. We're looking at the top or most advanced shoes of 2019, and that's the laceless options from the top three brands, from Adidas with their Next Level, Nike with their Adapt BB, and Jordan Brand with their 33 and their Fast Fit system. So let's compare the three top to bottom, fit to traction, as well as going through what are some of the possible better options for you. So let's get right at it. All right, so full disclosure, have the Jordan 33, and I've had multiple pairs, have the Next Level, and I did a quick review, if you guys haven't seen that video, on a size that was a little bit too big, and I've been playing in my size for the last month. And finally, the Adapt BB, I was able to play in for about an hour and a half, and that was a shoe that was being used at a Jordan Brand event, so it had about 20 or 30 hours of break-in time with a lot of other players. So I was able to play in a shoe that was pretty well broken in already, and obviously given that time period, I had the best opportunity possible on a really nice court. So even though the comparisons are not from using the Adapt BB for a month, hopefully it still applies. You guys can stick with me. So starting with fit. All right, so starting with fit, we're going to start with the one that you really can't do or change anything, and that's the Next Level. So the Next Level literally has nothing to adjust. You put it on, it is what it is. Now, this shoe is still very tight, has a lot of elastic in here, and the whole point of that is there's elastic kind of going from here to here, and you can see that band that really pushes your foot down into the heel cup. Now, the heel cup is rather strong, so it does a much better job than you would think, but really big but if you have wide feet and they're in the forefoot, so if you have a wider kind of toe section, I think you're going to be fine. If you have a wide midfoot, this kind of doesn't work. And the point of that is this section right here, and hopefully I can zoom in a little bit for you guys. There's a lot of creasing already. It's definitely been molded to my foot as best as possible. It still just doesn't work. It still kind of hurts here. Now again, if I'm playing a half court, playing 32, one-on-one, it's not that bad. Once I start doing full sprints, it really does irritate right here in the middle of the foot. Then on top of that, if you have a high instep, and I have a moderately high instep, I can't say it's huge. I don't have a really tall foot, but it's tall enough where after about an hour of play, whether I'm using this on the court, whether I'm just using it casually, at about that 1 hour point, the pressure it's putting down on the top of my foot just hurts. So unfortunately, this is a shoe I don't know if I can be wearing much more. If you guys are a size 13, let me know. I'm not looking to make money on this, so hit me up if you guys really want. That is not a negative on the shoe, because if it fits you, you're going to really enjoy some of the other aspects. So even if you have a wide foot, if it's in the forefoot, you'll be fine. And if you have a normal instep, I think you're going to be fine with the fit. And it's shockingly how well it does, but obviously there's going to be limitations. Next is the Jordan 33. Now this is another one. If you have a high instep, this is one I really have to completely take out all the way just to get my foot in. Once my foot's in though, it's okay. Put it back through the Velcro, lace it, Velcro it up, you're good to go. The tab, you pull it a couple times, I think you're going to be just fine. The lockdown on this is amazing. The support on this is huge from the heel cup. Now, depending on which colorway you get, makes a big difference. This has a suede area in the forefoot, and the leather's a little bit softer here in the forefoot versus the heel. So even if I have a wide foot, my wide foot's in the middle, this version fits really nicely. Some of the other colorways I've gotten with the initial launch colorway and the ACG, it just really hurt. So I definitely do want to try some other colorways possibly. The Vast Gray colorway coming out that looks kind of an off-white, as well as the red with the quilted leather. Those both have a little bit different materials, might be different. Now this does run a little bit long, so you either want to go true to size, or if you have a normal foot that's slender, you may have to go down half a size. But if you have a wide foot in any way, it's a weird fitting shoe. Depending on the materials, I had to go again with my size 13. 12 and a half might work, but I definitely can't go with my 12, and I have a 12 wide as my kind of true size. So I usually do 12 and a half. 13 of this fit me great because of the materials, but it's one of those, again, it's a little bit finicky. You really do want to try this on in store, because size to size, colorway to colorway, and depending when it was made, they all fit a little bit different. So this is one of those shoes I can't really recommend just because they're very inconsistent. But if you find one that fits you, you try it on, comfort feels good, it can be a really good shoe. Finally, the Adapt BB. And Nike has a lot of claims about it fitting most people, and I can say, yeah, it does. If you have a high instep, it's a little bit harder to get on because of the space, but it's not bad. Loosen it up. If you have a wide foot, the way the lacing structure is, it really does moves and gets to a certain point where it works. Now, I can't tell you when that break-in process would end. I was able to use it again after about 20 or 30 hours of break-in by multiple other players. So by the time I got on my foot, laced it up, and it worked really well. The buttons allow you to really make really precise micro adjustments, both tight and loosening. So whether you have a wide foot, a high instep, you're going to get a really nice size. And for $350, having something that fits you well is going to go a long way. Now, I will tell you, go up half a size on that as well, even if you have a narrow foot or a normal foot, just because that lacing structure really tightens down a lot. It can really cinch you down. If you get a size that just fits you, you're not really taking advantage of it locking you in. So you really do want to get a pair that, even if it's slightly big, that half size, it's going to give your toes and your foot room to splay and to move around, and it's going to allow that lacing structure to really pull you down and for you to enjoy that part of the shoe. Materials, I'm kind of going to gloss over real quick. The Adidas, I think, are the best materials, but it's also the most simplistic. It's just a prime knit upper. Super simple, feels really high quality, does the job. The Jordan 33, it depends on the colorway. For the NRG version on this, for the Travis Scott, they feel really nice. Feeling the quilted leather version on the red one felt decent. They have patent leather versions. They have ones that feel kind of cheap. So it's both up and down as far as the quality on Jordan 33. But I'll kind of give that a second place. Last place is really the Adapt BB. And forgive me, I keep wanting to call it Hyper Adapt. But the Adapt BB for $350 does kind of feel like a letdown. The knit upper does feel kind of plasticky, although it does a great job for support. The heel cup is just a big wedge of plastic. And the heel section is supposed to be kind of a suede or nubuck, but it just feels kind of cheap. So overall, it kind of sucks that if someone doesn't know sneakers and they just saw you wearing the shoe, it looks like a $100 Nike. It doesn't really convey that you have the highest performing, most technological marveled shoe that's been out in years. So that's kind of a letdown. So that is as far as the materials. All right, so the support. So third place, and not because it's bad support, is going to be your next level. So your next level does have a giant heel cup, pretty much going all the way. So it kind of stops right before you get this here. But then here you have a huge pillow hugging the back of your foot. You have an elastic kind of pushing your foot down, as well as this elasticity pushing you back in. The way this fits you is really unique. You really do feel locked in. It's a very nice, flat, wide base, so you do feel really contained in there. It does have, I believe, an internal shank plate, but you know, this is something that's not twisting and turning on you. So overall, actually does a better job than you would think. Obviously not the most supportive shoe, even in Adidas' lineup, but it's something you don't have to be afraid of. But just like the Kobe 360, it does take a little bit of trust when you're playing it, where you just have to trust the shoe. The Adapt BB is second place, and if you're a Kobe fan, it plays a lot like a Kobe. It has a nice solid heel cup. The lacing structure really pulls you back into the heel. And I'll kind of grab this here. So it really is very similar. So any Kobe you've played in, you're going to feel very familiar. You're going to have an idea of what it plays like. So if you've owned other Kobes and you're debating getting an Adapt BB, you kind of have a general gist of how it's going to play. So overall, I don't think it's a huge amount of support, but it's just enough where you still can play quick, whether you have injuries, whether you're a big guy, a small guy. I think it just works. I don't think anyone's going to have an issue with the support the Adapt BB provides. Again, also has a very flat, wide base. You do feel very contained, and obviously the support in this shoe has a lot to do with the fit, and the Adapt BB overall provides a really nice fit. And the most supportive is going to be your Jordan 33, and this is probably overly supportive. Overall, this still feels kind of clunky in most of the colorways. This does have a much softer foam setup, and with that flight plate system where it pushes you forward, it definitely does feel a little bit smoother, but it has a huge heel cup, huge solid. The whole section of the shoe is really firm. Again, has a pretty wide base. So, I mean, overall, the way this locks you down, this shoe is almost overly supportive, and it really feels like it's meant for a big guy with their players like a Marcus Aldridge or Andre Drummond, where you have big guys who need a lot of support. I don't really see a lot of the guards enjoying it as much, and I could be wrong, but again, this shoe is so inconsistent. This specific colorway, this model, I've really enjoyed, and I can see guards playing in it. Some of the other ones have been a lot more clunky and feel a lot more like bricks. So it just depends what you get. Again, try them on. Overall, if you need support, this is the one you're going to want to go with. All right, so fit is the most important part of a shoe, so give it. But the meat and potatoes of a shoe, to me, are all going to be the cushion and the traction. So let's get into the cushion, and this is really a really subjective topic where I'm going to try to be as accurate as I can with you guys, but depending what kind of player you are, depending what size shoe you get, depending which colorway you get, makes a huge difference. So let's start with the Jordan 33. If you haven't seen that video, please check it out. I do have a comparison with the Jordan 33 and the Why Not 2, and the Jordan 33 cushion can either be the best cushion you had or the worst. So if you try the shoe on in store, you're either not going to feel the cushion at all, and after you break it in, you're going to feel some of the zoom, or when you try it on store, you're going to feel a little bit of the zoom, and as it breaks in, it starts to feel really good. So depending on the setup you get, depending on what colorway, the gambit is so big. Some of the colorways were really clunky. This one was just really smooth, heel to toe. I felt the heel zoom. So this is one, again, try on in store because the range is very inconsistent. So if you get a good one, highly recommend it. If you get a bad one, at least I warned you guys. Moving to the Adapt BB. This is one that, honestly, guys, feels really close to what your D Rose 4 felt like. So if you guys were a fan of the D Rose 4, if you ever played in them, this is really a standard EVA setup. It had an Adiprene plus crash pad in the heel. When you play in these, you can almost play in them side by side. This is Adidas's new Light Strike foam, which sounds a lot better than calling it EVA. Now, this is going to be one of their, if not their lightest setup from Adidas, where it's lighter than Bounce. It's definitely lighter than Boost. But weighing these side by side, these are both size 13. This comes in at 15.9 ounces, essentially a pound. This comes in at 14.8, so over an ounce lighter. You feel it on foot, you feel it in hand, and you forget how good this one is, especially with the flex screws on this and the traction. Still a really good shoe. But the cushion on this, again, it's like EVA, meaning there's some impact protection, right? So it does a good job. You don't have that shock coming up your body when you land, but there's no real bounce back. And it's really meant to have more court feel. And it's going to give you more court feel than Bounce, more court feel than Boost. So this is kind of the quick guard playing shoe for Adidas, where if you want the most court feel, this is probably going to be it. Now, my problem with it is I'm a bigger guy. I'm 240. This is something that if I'm playing half court, again, playing smaller, it's not too bad. Once I start running up and down the court, I really do feel the shock up and down my body. Like, it's not a pleasant feeling. So this is something I wasn't able to enjoy as much. But if you like court feel and you don't need as much cushion, it definitely does the job for what Adidas was intending. Finally, the Adapt BB. Now, the Adapt BB was supposed to be using Cushlon, so kind of a similar setup to your Kyrie 4. It's not really Cushlon. If you guys, I have a video on it. It feels closer to the setup with your injected Phylon from your Kobe AD Exodus. But here's the rub. This has a little bit more bounce than what you're getting in the Adapt BB. And the Adapt BB, they still feel a little bit more plush than what you're getting on either one of these. So it's not as bouncy as injected Phylon, and it's way more plush than what you're getting on the Cushlon from your Kyrie 4. So it uses a really unique setup that I really did enjoy. If I'm able to get an Adapt BB at a discount, used, if you guys want to sell me your pair, definitely something I would want to try. But here's the rub. The shank plate, and let me take a look here, that they're using on the Adapt BB, if you guys can bear with me, it's the motor. They're not really changing that motor size. So the cushion is going to feel different than the Adapt BB if you're getting a size 8 versus if you're getting a size 13. So you're going to have more cushion on your larger sizes. So even if you're a tall player, short player, depending on your foot size, I think people are going to have different experiences with the cushion. So when you have that shank plate in the middle and it's whatever that big, when you have a bigger shoe, it's okay. Once you start cutting down on the heel and the forefoot or the heel and the forefoot cushion, they can feel kind of firm, because that midfoot shank, when I was playing and I'm doing full court sprints, I did kind of feel that middle hard part of it, because there's nothing there. It's the torsional plate, it's the motor, it's the plastic containment for the whole setup with the battery and the electronics. So again, that is also another shoe like the 33. Depending on the shoe, depending on your size, it's going to feel different. One of the guys I follow on Instagram has both shoes, and he loved the Next Level way more than the Adapt BB. And I didn't get it, but he's also size 8. So when you have a smaller shoe size, obviously he's a little bit smaller of a guy, I can understand why this is going to be the better shoe for him. If you're a bigger guy and or if you have a bigger foot, the Adapt BB is just going to fit you better overall. If you have a wide foot, high instep, and if you have a larger shoe size, you're going to have a little bit more cushion. You're probably going to enjoy that a little bit more as well. So hopefully you guys can understand that breakdown, but please hit me with questions below if you have any specific inquiries on how it's going to work for you. And finally, the traction. So the worst traction of the bunch, sorry to say, is the Adapt BB. So very similar to the Kobe Exodus, I was able to get the launch colorway of this shoe and returned it pretty promptly because the traction for me was really weak, and it was about $150 with tax. I was able to get this colorway with a solid traction and was able to get it for less than $100, and I really enjoyed it a lot more. So let's go back to the Adapt BB. On a clean court, it probably does bite really hard, and I say that because there was only certain clean sections on the court I played on, but overall it just wasn't really a good shoe. If you play on a clean court, almost any shoe works. That's not really a comparison. So same thing with this. On a clean court, this worked kind of well with this setup, and I'm surprised I didn't go with this nub setup, meaning it plays a lot like a Kobe anyway. And if you look at the Jordan 33, and we'll get to in a second, this uses kind of an improved version of that nub setup that Kobe was kind of first launching. So Adapt BB, honestly, not really impressed with the traction. If you're playing on a clean court, enjoy it. But if you play normally on dusty courts, it's not something you're going to be able to have a fun time in, as you're going to be wiping a lot. Second place, and really consistent, is going to be your herringbone. Really basic setup on your Next Level. It just works, guys. My first colorway was the all black with that marble print, and that one, again, the first few days didn't really go well. It did get better. With this gum bottom, traction has been really nice, very consistent. Doesn't make it great, just because I do have to wipe every so often because they are kind of tightly spaced together, but it works, it's consistent, it's really enjoyable. And probably the best of the bunch by a large margin is going to be your traction setup on your Jordan 33. The nubs on this are quite a bit chunkier than what you're getting on something like a Kobe 360 or any of your Kobe lines. They're a little bit firmer, so something that's going to last you a long time. And again, for $175, they should. And this version was $185, but the traction setup on this is fantastic. It does remind me of a lot of what they did with the PG3. That traction has been unbelievable, but this is by and far the best traction out of the bunch. All right, so wrapping it up, what's the best shoe? Honestly, there's too many variances. Depending what shoe size you wear, it's going to make a difference on the cushion of the Adapt BB. Depending how big of a person you are, the cushion is totally separate on the light strike. Depending on the kind of foot you have, if you have a wide foot, if you have a high instep, you probably can't even get the light strike. And with the Jordan 33, there's so many variances on what shoe you get, from colorway to colorway, from when it was made. It can be a great shoe or a really awful shoe. So all three of these do have a lot of faults. If I'm going to tell you the best shoe for me personally, it's this specific Jordan 33. The only problem is it's already having some issues with the fast fit system, so I've had to relegate it to just casual use, even though I wish I could play in it. So from there, I would say it's probably the Adapt BB, but that's $350. So I can't really say like, hey, I want to play in that shoe and I'm going to go beat it up for that price. And then the traction was short of awful, so it's not something I'm really looking forward to even getting and enjoying anyway, because I know how it plays. And then finally you have the Next Level, and the Next Level is something that just doesn't fit my shoe. So depending what you are, I'm definitely more than happy to answer down below and tell you, hey, this might work best for you. Hopefully I've broken it down so you guys can look at, okay, here's the kind of foot shape I have, here's the kind of player I am, and you can see which of these three is best. But wrapping this up, I really want to give you three shoes that are from the same brand, Jordan, Adidas, and Nike, that play better, they're cheaper, and overall just better values and better performers. And I'll put this on a separate video as well. So if you've watched this through, for others, you can just watch that one video. But the top 3 shoes that are better or equal to the laceless options for the Adapt BB, for the Next Level, and the Jordan 33 are as follows. For the Jordan 33, you really have the little brother, the Why Not 2. And this is just better or equal in almost every way. It has the same 4-foot zoom, but it uses injected Phylon, so that added bounce on top of the zoom just feels incredible. Now, it doesn't have the flight plate system, and I stand corrected. One of my reviewers did put it in the comments, and he's absolutely right. So you don't have that hard push off, but because it's decoupled, because of that Phylon, you still have kind of a nice spring plate loaded, even though it doesn't have that full flight plate system. The traction is almost as good, so we're splitting hairs there. I would say the Jordan 33 is a little bit better, but the support, again, right up there with it, maybe a little bit better, maybe lower, but it's lighter, better transition, and just a better overall shoe, again, for $50 to $60 less. The Adapt BB is Nike's kind of best shoe for court feel right now, but I'm going to say the Kobe AD Exodus is playing very, very similar, but you get heel zoom, you get injected Phylon, so you're getting something that's a little bit bouncier, maybe not as plush, and you're getting a fit that honestly is really nice. Now, I don't like the materials they used on this, as they feel kind of cheap, but so does the Adapt BB, and the more you wear it, it just molds to your foot really nicely. Now, I didn't think this was worth $150, so you can imagine how I feel about a $350 Adapt BB, but if you're able to get this on sale at $100, this thing performs really well. And as far as Nike's lineup, as you're looking for something for court feel, this is the best option. Now that the Kyrie 4 is out of production, the Kyrie 5 does have a kind of a large volume zoom air unit in the 4-foot, and maybe it's not large as far as being thick, but it adds a lot more cushion than someone who's just looking for court feel. So this is going to be the best alternative to the Adapt BB. And finally, the best option for the Next Level, if you're looking for court feel and you don't want to spend $180, is going to be really the Dame 5. Now, the Dame 5 uses bounce cushion that's a little bit heavier, but it's giving you the same impact protection, which is a lot more than what they did in the Dame 3 and the Dame 4. It's giving you a little bit of bounce, obviously being bounce cushion, and the traction actually uses a very similar herringbone, except it uses this beefy one all the way through the shoe. So it's better traction. Overall, it's better support. And right now, a lot of the colorways already went on sale for $86, meaning it's almost $100 cheaper. Now, if you're wondering, Levi, where's your Dame 5? How can you talk about it? I purchased a size 13 of the Dame 5s, played in them that night for about 2 hours. They felt great. They actually felt a lot like a high top or a mid top version of your Harden 3s. And that's a high compliment. Where the cushion, it felt very similar. The traction felt maybe a little bit better. It just felt like a more supportive, higher top version of the Harden 3. And I already have the Harden 3s. I prefer low tops. Also, when I returned them, the size 12 was just a little bit too small. So I really do need to get a 12.5. So at the Adidas store, I ended up getting the Marquee Boost, which fit my foot incredibly well. Does it make it a better shoe? Not necessarily, and I'll have a review on that and all the Adidas's, but it just fit my foot better. So I ended up getting the Marquee Boost. So I still want to get me a Dame 5 so I can do a full review and comparison for you. But if you've read any reviews or watched any people saying the Dame 5 is the best overall shoe, I can definitely see that and entertained it, because just like the Harden 3, it's just really good all around, where it does a lot of things really well. Guys, girls, hopefully you enjoyed that video, kind of went through a lot of the details, and as of right now, the highest end shoes, the Hype Beast, the 2019 Laceless shoes from all the big brands, still have a ways to go, honestly. If for $350, for $175, for $180, you should expect a lot from your shoe, and I feel all of these are missing or lacking in certain areas, depending on your foot shape, depending on your playing style, depending on what size you are. Some of these are going to work really well, but obviously there's a lot of shortcomings to all 3 of these. Hopefully that helps. Guys, if you have any questions or comments, put them down below. You can follow me on Instagram if you want to see any of the things that I'm posting or working on currently. Follow me on Twitter, on Facebook. As always, really appreciate you guys. And if you're wondering about the Velocity insoles, these things are shipping out. Size 13, we did have to recast that mold, so those will be shipping out in a few weeks. And I do apologize for the delay, guys. I did use the insoles on pretty much all the shoes except this one with success. On the cushion for the next level, it made a huge difference, but the fit just didn't fit my shoe. And then the Jordan 33, on the pairs that needed it, it made a difference. On this one, it didn't really need the cushion. And what I mean by that is this is adding a huge level of bounce to a shoe. So if you're getting a shoe that already has a lot of zoom like a LeBron 16 or a lot of boost like say your Harden Volume 2, this is something you don't really need to put in. But when you're putting in something like the Kyrie, all of a sudden you have a really nice setup. I've been using it lately in my PG3, a shoe that has incredible traction and the cushion just takes a long time to break in. I honestly got a little impatient and just started using my insoles and they felt great. I did take them out so I can use the stock cushion so I can give you a better review, but I'll have that review coming up as well. But if you have any questions on the Velocity cushion insoles, they are incredible. The reviews are coming back, have been really positive, and we're really just starting to ramp up production. So really appreciate you guys' support on that. And if you're looking to get a max cushion in any shoe, you're really going to enjoy it. One of my followers has been using them in his dress shoes, another guy is using it in his Converse, and it's just taking that cushion to the next level. As always, really appreciate you guys. Please give you that video a thumbs up, subscribe down below, hit that little bell if you want to see any new videos coming out. Thank you, and I'll come back at you later.